Hello and welcome to Talking Good Gamers, the match preview of West Ham United against Everton. Now before we start, I'm going to promise you something. I'm going to promise you one thing. It's going to be a good show. I promise you, it's going to be a good show. Anyway, Gonzo, as always, what's your thoughts on our opposition Everton?
Deceptively high up the table, I've got to say. They seem to have been encountering struggle after struggle. Up until very recently, you thought they've had a bad season. And you look at them and they're in 11th position. I think, obviously, they've appointed Ancelotti. I thought for a moment, when I was watching Duncan Ferguson, really connecting with a crowd, pumping his fists, cuddling ball boys, and just generally being an Evertonian, I thought, you know what? It seemed to have tapped into something that clearly Marco Silva didn't have. I thought, I wonder if they're just going to go with this fella. And I wouldn't have blamed them for doing so, Geo, but they've gone for Ancelotti. Ancelotti's now picked up a win, obviously, against Brighton. They're going to have no worries, mate. From a club that it seemed a few weeks ago, were in turmoil. There's now got things to look forward to. They've got players starting to play well. They've got a new stadium on the horizon, I think. I don't think they've got any worries at all anymore there, mate.
No, we're joined by a special guest. I say special guest because she was on before, but now she's come back as an award winner. She's won an FBA. So me and Gonzo are very much second on our own channel. How does that work? I don't know. But we're rolling out the red carpet tonight. Sarah's joined us. As always, the link to her channel is in the description below. But merry-go-round happened over at Goodson Park. You were linked heavily with David Moyes. Ended up with Ancelotti. What was your thoughts on the sort of who you were linked with and then who you actually got? Were you happy not to get Moyes?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, love the channel and love you guys as well. Like, you've always been so supportive of me and love being on here. So thank you so much. And yeah, like you said, we're going to Saturday's game with what could have been so different. It could have been Moyes on the away side. I think I'd kind of got into my head and accepted that David Moyes was going to be coming back to Everton because the rumours and all the talk was so strong. It very much felt like it had momentum to it and that it was going to happen. Then, of course, Ancelotti gets sacked by Napoli, and I've got to say credit to the Everton board for going all out to secure him. That's with no disrespect to David Moyes, of course. 11 years. Obviously, you guys have had a taste of him prior as well. 11 years at the club. He was fantastic for us. Someone I respect massively. And there was a time, you just said then before Gonzo, before Dunk came in and kind of steadied the boat, I thought Moyes might be exactly what we need. As much as it wouldn't have been my preference, I thought this might be the guy we need. Dunk sort of settled everything down, and then to end up with Carlo Ancelotti. I mean, I'm pinching myself still when I see him in the press conferences and in the dugout at Goodison, like, whoa, he's our manager. So yeah, I'm delighted, but I still think that David Moyes, I think he'll do a job with you guys.
Gonzo, things have picked up a little bit for Everton recently, but what should their aims be this season, and with one eye looking towards next season as well?
I think now, obviously it was humiliating for us just over a week ago when we got knocked out of the FA Cup to Liverpool, their third string team or whatever that was. So we've only got the league now to focus on, and I think it's just 4 points now. The team that's in sixth position is just 4 points ahead of us. So I think now we've got to put everything into just putting one foot in front of the other, trying to get as many wins as we can in the league. We know the squad's not where it needs to be or anywhere close to that right now, but we've got one of the best managers in the world, and he can get as many points out of us and see us through to the summer when he can strengthen even more. But realistically, top six isn't out of team that's in sixth position is just 4 points ahead of us. So
Gonzo, what do you agree with what Sarah said there? I mean, what do you think Everton should be aiming for?
Well, I just said Sarah in stereo because I got a notification on my own phone to let me know that I was doing a video on it's marvellous technology.
And the worst thing is you clicked it to say, oh, what's this video? This sounds like a good one.
This looks good. Who's that funny looking fella? You, Geo, is what I'm clearly. Everton, the sky is the limit. Let's not forget the narrow defeat to Liverpool. And it's always going to be a tricky one when your City rival is doing particularly well and winning things. Obviously, we don't know that because Tottenham don't win anything. But I would imagine it's a difficult thing when your City rival is doing well. I just think they can really, really push on. You've got to remember, I think they've got to target Wolves. And I think they've got to have it in their minds that Wolves are going to go back and play in Europe. And at some point, fatigue is going to kick in with them. I think they should really be aiming for the top 6. I don't see any reason why not.
I completely agree with you. I think they have to as well. They've got the top tier manager there. I'm a bit sceptical of him, I'll be honest with you. I'll say this while he's in a running form as well. I think when he got appointed as Everton manager, I thought, right, brilliant manager, got a fantastic football in CV, but he's not really proved he can build a project type thing. He goes in, he takes over top teams and continues to perform, but can he come down with a sort of, I don't want to say a smaller club mentality, but that's almost what he's got to do a little bit. And that's no disrespect to Everton, but he doesn't have players that can win the game in 30 seconds of brilliance like he's had at other clubs. He can basically come with a tactic of give the ball to this player and he will win us the game. He doesn't really have that at Everton. I think he's got some players that's capable, but they're not consistent enough. And it's a different challenge for Ancelotti, but it's also a challenge for Everton at the minute. And they've both got a lot to gain, because I think Ancelotti, this is not Ancelotti's last hurrah, but if he was to fail at Everton, he would struggle to get a job as good as Everton. Following it a little bit, I don't want to say his pedigree's already taken a battering, but if you look at Bayern Munich, it didn't end well there. It didn't end well at Napoli a little bit. So he's very much on the come down as a manager in terms of pedigree, if you like. So I hope Everton do well. I quite like them as a football club. I quite like the way they play football. I like the way Ancelotti plays football. Got some damn good players there. And speaking of players, Gonzo, players you admire from Everton, please.
Well, clearly, let's just pay homage to Richarlison's goal against Brighton, which was an absolute peach, wasn't it? I might go a little bit, I was going to say left of field, but more central field here. It's a player that I really liked when he was coming through at the time, a young player. I liked him because he's a floater. He seems to float across the pitch. Reminded me of Man City, had a boy come through, and he never actually made it really. Name was Michael Johnson, similar player. So when this guy came through, I'm talking about Tom Davis, I thought, oh, hello, this boy could be decent. He seemed to have gone away, been dropped from the team. From a West Ham point of view, from outsiders, it seemed like it almost disappeared from the Everton setup. So he's gone away, grown his hair, come back, and he looks, I'll tell you what, I think he looks decent again, Geo. Obviously, the left back is a quality player, and we're still trying to find out how Ancelotti's going to shape the team. He said he liked Moise Kean. That's what he said, and I don't know why, because obviously I don't know much about Everton, but then we saw Calvert-Lewin playing, so I don't know if he's going to, in the long term, he's going to play Moise Kean up instead of Calvert-Lewin, but he was really industrious. I did see a bit of that game against Brighton, and Calvert-Lewin was really industrious in that as well. And he brought Theo Walcott back, of course, didn't he? But I do, yeah, as I say, if I had to, not as a superstar, but maybe a surprising one. I do like watching Tom Davis play football.
Sarah, who's in form for you at the minute? Who should we be fearing the most on Saturday?
I think it's safe to say Richarlison. We all saw the fantastic goal he scored against Brighton on Saturday. He's one of our top scorers this season, and he's being played more as a striker now in that 4-4-2 as opposed to coming in from the left-hand side. Another one to watch out for will be Bernard. He's only about 5'3", but he is a tricky player. He kind of ran the show against Brighton on the weekend as well. And as Gonzo just mentioned there as well, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he's been, he's struggled a little bit more in the last couple of games, and he had a goal disallowed for handball, sort of came off his shoulder, but he scored, especially under Duncan Ferguson, and then continued that into Ancelotti's start of as reign as Everton manager. So yeah, I think Richarlison, Bernard, and Calvert-Lewin will be the ones for you guys to watch out for on the day.
I've got to give you a bit of credit for Calvert-Lewin and eat a bit of humble pie, because last time you were on here, I said to you, he's not good enough. He's not good enough. I didn't think he was, and to be fair, up until Ferguson took charge, and that's how recent it is, I stand by that opinion. I have changed my mind. I think he looks a lot better in a 2 up front. I wouldn't play him as a lone striker. If you were to go back to a lone striker, I would not play Calvert-Lewin as that guy. But up front with Richarlison, he looks like a different player to me. I've been really impressed by him, actually. And then with Kane being injured, I wouldn't blame him if he sets his sights on Euro 2020, thinking if I can stay in here and keep scoring goals, Southgate is going to have a problem. I'm going to give him a problem because Southgate knows him from the youth set up at England. I think he won the World Cup with England at the under-20s and stuff. So Southgate damn well knows what he does and what he can deliver, and that gives him an advantage over the likes of Danny Ings, who Southgate's never managed. But Charlison's one of my favourite non-West Ham players. I've never made that a secret. I've always liked him. I think he's got everything. He can play in various different positions as well. But Bernard, I think, has been maybe one of your players this season, but the guy that's been impressing me recently is Holgate. I think he's really impressed me. I thought he came in under difficult circumstances, played centre midfielder position. I thought he held his own in there. He's gone to centre back, his natural position. I think he's stepped up a gear a little bit. You've got Keane and Mina, and I would keep Holgate in over both of them at the minute. The two players that disappoint me, I'll just pick one actually, is Sigurdsson. I was a big Sigurdsson fan, but he's been crap. Whenever I watched him this season, I can't remember what game I was watching Everton play. It was about the hour mark. The camera zoomed in on him. I thought, when did he come on? I genuinely didn't know he started. He started the game in centre mid. I genuinely didn't know he was on the pitch. Now he's playing a role he's not used to, centre mid, a lot deeper. But it's just disappointing to see someone that used to be like what Richarlison is now, one of the best outside the top 6, to now the weakness of Everton, in my opinion. But anyway, before we move on to West Ham, Saturday is a home game, which means one thing: the boats. And it's a bit of a special one. We're doing CPR training on the boats prior to the match, after unfortunately we lost Danny before Christmas, who had a cardiac arrest on one of the boats as well. So it's between 12 and 1:30. The link is in the description. All tickets are free. If you want to come and not do CPR training, use the same link, click on it. It's got various different tickets. They're all free. Click whatever one you want and come down, and me and Gonzo will see you there for a beer and a burger. Right, let's talk about West Ham then. Sarah, I'm going to start with you first. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on West Ham?
Do you know what? It's West Ham in a lot of ways remind me of Everton. I know it's a comparison that is often made from supporters as well. But in terms of, there's been exciting things, of course, the move to the stadium, the money, the exciting manager in Pellegrini who come in. Obviously, that didn't work out as planned. I do apologise for losing you for just a second. I was getting a call.
No, that's all right.
Is it? Yeah, so, I think there's been false dawns for West Ham fans. You kind of build your hopes up and then it doesn't quite work out. You've got a team, I believe, with players in there that when it's all working and gelling, you've got a good side that are capable of playing good football, getting good results, but then seem to just drop off again, can't seem to get a run of form together. I think it'll be a really tough game, actually. Everton haven't been great away from home for a long time. We obviously got a big win at St James's Park under Carlo Ancelotti the other day, but I never look forward to playing West Ham. I always think it's going to be a really tough game, and I think we're about 6 points ahead of you guys now, so no doubt this will be seen as sort of a 6-pointer, a chance to close the gap on Everton, or if Everton win, then it's 9 points. So it's a big game, but West Ham's got players that can hurt us. David Moyes will be desperate to get one over on his former club as well. But I think West Ham, should be a lot higher. You guys are right at the bottom, in and around the relegation zone, and I don't think that's where you guys should be. I think David Moyes, give him a little bit of time, and it's probably not the manager that people are going to be excited about, but I think he'll get you guys stable again and give you guys a chance to push on.
Gonzo, I'll get your team in a second, but just quick team news. Randolph has obviously signed, and David Moyes has basically said he's as fit as we can get him. I'm not sure what that means, but I think it means he might be slightly injured, but it's going to have to do. He basically said they would have liked another week's training with him, but there's just not enough time. So it sounds like he's very much getting chucked in on Saturday. Masuaku, he said, has got a bit of fluid in his knee, but I imagine he's going to be okay. Anderson obviously had that little bit of a knock on his back against Sheffield United, and Moyes hinted he's out, but again, I think it's just Moyes smoking mirrors and all that. Then Mikel Antonio, Moyes again did not confirm whether he'd be involved or not. However, he's been in training. The club have been putting training stuff up, and he's there. So Gonzo obviously does not have Antonio in his team, judging by that reaction. But whether he's fit enough to start is another thing altogether. But for the sake of this preview, Gonzo, we'll assume Antonio is fit. Or if you want to give us your team without him, then tell us what you would do if he was fit. It's up to you. Over to yourself, Gonzo.
Well, my team also is as fit as it can be. It's just become a bit fitter, actually, because Antonio has kicked Snodgrass out of the team. So we've got Randolph in goal. We hope. Zabaleta at right back. I've switched to a 4 at the back, mate. We can't play this thing, right, with the players that we've got available. We can't play this nonsense. The more I thought about it, we're going to stuck 4 goals past Bournemouth with 4 at the back. We then thought 3 at the back might be the way forward because he beat Gillingham, right, in the second half, by the way. And then we've gone and lost to Sheffield United by playing 3 at the back. Let's go back to 4 at the back until Moyes can sort out and buy and purchase some players, right? Zabaleta's got to play right back because Zabaleta's got to play right back. Balbuena, Ogbonna, Cresswell at left back. 2 sitting in front of in midfield, sitting in front. Declan Rice and Paolo the fornicator Fornals. On the right, Snodgrass has got the elbow. Antonio's going on the right. Anderson in the number 10 position. Lanzini on the left. Sebastian Haller up top.
See, I've stuck with 3 at the back because I think it's sort of like, well, Moyes is going to play 3 at the back regardless of what's best and stuff. He is a stubborn man, as everyone on this show right now knows. He is a stubborn man. He was that stubborn. And that's why he's kept 3 at the back for Sheffield United, Gonzo, because he is a stubborn man. And regardless of what worked with 4 at the back and that, he wanted to play it. So I've put Randolph in goal as well, a half a Randolph, so I've got a Rand in goal. And then I kept Balbuena, Ogbonna and Cresswell at the back. I think Cresswell's key here. The way he came out with the ball from the back 3 against Sheffield United was important for us. Masuaku left wing back because, well, we can't play Cresswell there, he's centre back. And then I've got Antonio right wing back. Now, this is my point. I would only play 3 at the back if Antonio can play right wing back. If Antonio ain't fit, I would go to 4 at the back because Zabaleta is the only other option and I don't want to see him there. He's up against Bernard, Everton's most informed player. The guy's maybe not the quickest guy, but he'll turn Zabaleta inside out over and over. He was man of match, arguably, at Goodison Park. Him and Sabidi ran riot against us in that place, so let's not let him do it again. The 3 in the middle, I've gone Pablo Fornals, Declan Rice, Robert Snodgrass. I think Snodgrass should start because of his cameo against Sheffield United. He came on and changed the game. We still lost, but he scored a goal, which was harshly ruled out, and he set up a goal, which was rightly ruled out. And then Anderson and Sebastian Haller up front for myself. Individual players for us, Sarah. It's quite good. We don't normally get an opposition person on you. Special privileges for yourself. So who do you fear from West Ham?
I think somebody who I've watched and been a big fan of, but he's not done it again consistently enough for you guys, is Felipe Anderson. I think when he's on his day, he can just run a game, and he's someone that we've got to be very wary of. Sebastian Haller as well is not as much as I think West Ham fans would have wanted to. Everton still scare me at the back, so he's someone we've got to be very wary of. Lanzini as well, tricky little player. Antonio as well, if he's in the side, he terrifies me. He's somebody he's strong, isn't he? He's fast. He's a powerful player, and I would certainly rather not see him in the side. So yeah, but for me, Felipe Anderson's probably the key man to watch out for. And as you rightly said, Holgate's been fantastic, but Mina is a bit of a doubt, I think, and Michael Keane always worries me a little bit. So yeah, I certainly think West Ham are gonna test Everton at the back on Saturday.
Well, that's good news. Gonzo, you confident?
Well, I am. After what Sarah just said there, I feel a lot better now. I mean, yeah, you've got to be careful with Sebastian Haller because he's a good finisher. He only needs one chance to score, which is probably good for you because he's probably not going to get one. So he'll just stand around looking good, basically. I am confident, Geo. I'm confident of getting a point. Which I said that against Sheffield United, didn't I? So maybe that's the curse. It's really hard to get any massive confidence that we're going to go and steamroll Everton. It's hard to see where everything's going. But he's got to address some things. I just wonder, because it's at home, if he won't do the whole thing of not having a shot in the first half, we might actually take the shackles off and have a go. So I think if we could do that, I do think Everton will bother us with their attacking players that we've already mentioned, but I do think we have got, particularly with Anderson's starting to get that free roll, I think we can cause them some issues. So yeah, I think it might be a relatively even game, Gio.
Sarah, what about yourself from an Everton point of view? Are you confident heading into Saturday?
Do you know what? Obviously, I'd love to say that we'd get the 3 points. I've got a feeling it's going to be a 2-2 draw. I've just got that gut feeling. I'd like to think I'm wrong, obviously, and hope Everton can go on to get the win. But I think we have done very well in recent fixtures. 3 wins out of 4. I feel like it's going to be a tough game against a good West Ham side, underperforming, no doubt. So, yeah, I'm not too confident. I don't think we'll lose the game. Don't make me regret saying that. I'm going to go for a 2-2.
I keep changing my mind, I keep thinking, and do you know something? It largely and solely comes down to where will Zabaleta be playing. If he's playing right wing back, I'm not confident at all. I think we've got a massive weakness, and it's there. It's easy. You don't need any fancy scouting to work it out. All you have to do is watch the highlights of the Sheffield United game, and the answer is right in front of your face. So it's not difficult. But if he plays right back or Antonio's right wing back, then I fancy us. I think we'll get something from it. I think when Gonzo speaks about taking shackles off, I think putting Antonio right wing back does that. Although you don't actually have to be looser, you don't have to be a bit more fancy free going forward. It just allows you to have an attacking outlet down that side. It means you can get in the box for crosses and stuff. And it's about personnel as well as for tactics. And you can, if you change personnel, tactics automatically change. I'm a bit worried because I think Moyes will set up to concede. I think his first priority will be don't concede, and his second one will be can we score. And sometimes if you focus on number 1 too much, number 2 becomes extremely difficult, and number 2 is difficult enough as it is sometimes without actually restricting yourself, and that concerns me a little bit. I'll say that's gone 2-2. Gonzo, I'll get your prediction in a second. At the start of the show I said I promised you it would be a good one. Well, my promise was not set in stone, and it was a hopeful promise. Just want to make that clear. Right, Gonzo? Can I get your score prediction, please?
I'm going to go with 0-0 because I think he's going to go for the full parking of the bus. I think you're right in your assessment, Geo, but I don't think it's going to necessarily yield anything. So I think he's going to be, rather than unleash our players to make their backline worry about us, I do think he's going to be worried about their players and Richarlison and people like that, particularly if they are, they're playing in the 4-4-2. I hadn't paid much attention to. If that's the case, I mean, we're getting 3 centre-backs if they're playing 4-4-2. If we're getting 3 centre-backs, he's just concentrated. We're going to sit very, very deep. And we may or may not get a goal on the break. But also it's going to be hard for them to score if Moyes does his thing. So I'm going to go with 0-0. I'm
going to go with 1-0 us. I do think we can shut them out a little bit, and I think we've got enough quality in the park to go and get something. And I don't know, when I watched the Brighton game, Everton-Brighton had chances. They had opportunities. They hit the bar as well. And I thought, there's, for as good as Everton were, and I was impressed by them, they could have still come out of that game with a point, and that was it. So to be that dominant, in my opinion, and to risk it shows a bit of weakness. So it wasn't overly convincing, if you like. Sarah, thank you again, as always, for coming on. Absolute pleasure.
My pleasure. Always love it, guys. Sorry for the little interruption in the middle.
Not at all. Thank you.
Gonzo, I shall see you Saturday.
Yes, see you Saturday. Look forward to it, guys.
Take care.
If
you enjoy the video, drop a like on it. If you're new around here, subscribe, and we'll catch you on Saturday afternoon. Enjoy the game, guys.